Welcome to Estevan TV. I'm at pushgapradio.com.
Pushgapradio.com. Bridging the gap between old school and new school radio. Pushgapradio.com. It's Dallas, baby.
Pushgapradio.com. Hamilton Park, Dallas, Fort Worth.
Pushgapradio.com in Dallas and Fort Worth. Welcome back. We've been gone for the last 2 weeks. I had the Rona. Contacted the coronavirus. As you well know, for those of you who are fans of the show, I drive a city transit bus here in Dallas, Texas. And I'm assuming I caught the Rona from one of them passengers. Hit me like a ton of bricks when I got it, man. Just came down on me. I felt it while I was at work. Just came down on me, man. And, yeah, biggest thing about it, didn't treat me so bad, okay? Go back to work tomorrow, Wednesday. Today is September 13th. Big shout out to both of my brothers, Stephen Shackelford and Terrell Atkins. My older brother, Stephen Shackelford, September 13th, 1959. My little brother, Terrell Atkins, September 13th, 1959. They're 10 years apart. And when I tell you, they kind of don't act nothing alike, but they act just alike. Okay. But yeah, big shout out to my boy, Leonard Leon Jr., Fuzzy. Passed away a couple of months ago. His birthday was today as well. And big shout out to Ramsey Lewis, who passed away. Wanted to toss that in there. You remember the song Wayo? Earth, Wind, and Fire. Wayo, talking about Wayo. That's the cut they did with Ramsey Lewis off their Gratitude album, the live album. So just wanted to give those shout outs before I got started. But yeah, had the Rona. Okay. Now I'm back and tested negative, and I'm ready to get back into the swing of things. But something came to my attention was I lost my sense of taste and smell. And as I start digging into the research, no one's talking about that aspect of the Rona. So I figured I would get on here because I can't be the only one. Sadly, I also gave it to Jackie O. Okay, Jackie O works from home. Okay, so we always knew that if Jackie O ever got it, we knew that it came from moi. Okay, but I lost my sense of taste and smell. And I was figuring some other people may have too, and you were kind of wondering what was going on. So I delved into it. I did my research. I looked into it. Now, what is the scientific name of it? The scientific name of losing your sense of taste and smell to the COVID is called parosmia. Okay. Parosmia is a distorted sense of smell. It happens when smell receptor cells in your nose don't detect odors or transmit them to your brain. Parosmia is a term used to describe health conditions that distort your sense of smell. If you have parosmia, you may experience a loss of scent intensity, meaning you can't detect the full range of scents around you. Can't smell anything. That also affects your tasting as well. Scent and taste is what gives you flavor. That's how you detect flavor. Okay. But yeah, you lose your scent intensity, meaning you can't detect a full range of scents around you. Sometimes parosmia causes things you encounter every day to seem like they have a strong disagreeable odor. Parosmia is sometimes confused with another condition called phantasmia, which causes you to detect the phantom scent when there's no scent present. You ever been somewhere and smelled a cigar, but no one around you had a cigar? This is what this phantasmia is. Okay. Now, parosmia is different because people who have it can detect an odor that's present, but the scent smells wrong to them. Your smell is strong. And I just haven't been hearing anyone talk about it. I figured there were some of you out there was in the same boat that I was in, so I wanted to cover it for you, give you the bite-sized edition of it. For example, the pleasant odor of freshly baked bread may smell overpowering and rotten instead of subtle and sweet. Check this guy out.
Imagine this. You wake up in the morning, pour yourself a hot cup of coffee, and start frying some eggs. But something's off. You don't smell the earthy aroma of coffee or the buttery eggs. Instead, you smell cigarette smoke, sewage, or rotting garbage. People who've gotten COVID-19 haven't just been losing their sense of smell and taste. A subset of them have been smelling and tasting the wrong things, like really, really wrong, even after they recover from the virus.
All meat tastes rotten.
Everything kind of started smelling the same with this scent of rotting garbage.
It's like rotten feces.
Rotting flesh.
Rotten flesh.
A gasolinish taste. Smells like something burning and rotten all at the same time.
Coffee smells like sewage.
And for some people, the distorted smells aren't going away.
You know, doctors have said there's a chance that this might never come back.
It's known as the COVID smell, or as scientists call it, parosmia, a condition that distorts your sense of smell. One international study suggests it could be affecting about 7% of COVID survivors. Other studies have even higher estimates. What this means is parosmia could be affecting millions of people around the world.
Yeah, that's what that is, man. Now, people experience a wide range of parosmia for an array of different reasons. In the most severe cases, parosmia can cause you to feel physically ill when your brain detects strong, unpleasant scents. Now, what they say is that 90% of people who lose sense of smell or taste from COVID-19 regain it within 2 years. This is what they say. I seem to have had it for quite a while. I don't really know how long, but for a while, I haven't been able to taste anything. Okay. Now, when COVID-19 hit, several primary symptoms were brought to our attention, including a loss of taste and smell. And it soon became clear that for some, this symptom was lasting longer after the infection had passed. So even once COVID is over, you still have a loss of your taste and smell. You would think that if you tested positive, that it had went away. Okay. But that's not the case. And they say it tends to linger on. Now, the researchers have struggled to figure out how long it takes for these senses to return. And that's been somewhat inconclusive. However, new research is now offering a more definitive answer. Some researchers in Italy and the UK found that around 90% of mildly symptomatic COVID-19 patients have experienced a loss of sense or smell or both and fully regain these senses within 2 years. How does your sense of taste and smell work? Check this lady out.
But how exactly is COVID doing this to our noses and to our brains? We headed to Philadelphia to visit the Monell Center, one of the country's leading research institutes focused on the science of smell and taste. Anyway, we're here to talk to Dr. Danielle Reed. She's been studying the science of smell
for over 30 years.
Okay. How is it that COVID is causing parosmia?
So here's how smell works. So basically, if you go all the way in up your nose and you keep going and going and going, to the very roof of your nose, there's a little patch of cells, and those are your olfactory receptor neurons. Basically smell cells right here in your nose. And those smell cells have a very special mission, which is to be monitoring for all the things that are in the environment and send signals to the brain when they encounter something that has an odor.
So let's say there's an odor right here in front of me or something, like a peach or an apricot or something. It smells a certain way. It's giving off chemicals or something?
Yeah, we would call those volatiles. So the peach volatiles are in the air, and then you pull the odorant up into the nose and you You sniff, so it goes all the way up high, and then that volatile touches the cells in the nose, and that causes the receptor to get excited and send the signal to the brain. So that's how you smell. And so some of these volatiles go up what we call the back way. And so a lot of the beauty of eating comes when we have those volatiles in our mouth.
So if you lose your sense of smell or it's in some way diminished, you're also in some way also experiencing diminished taste.
Right, so people often use the word taste in a very general way. So scientists, what we mean when we say taste are the signals that come from the tongue. Sour, sweet, salty, bitter, and umami. That's that savory taste. And then what happens in the nose is smell. But often when people are talking about the general taste, what they really mean is flavor. Flavor is the marriage between taste and smell, because our taste and our smell become integrated in our brain, and that's what we care about is eaters. Let's do a little demonstration to show you the importance. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our nose clips on.
Oh, it's very fashionable.
Yes, it's a good look. It's definitely a good look.
Okay.
So we're going to take this jelly bean and we're going to chew it up in our mouth. So we're going to try to guess what flavor it is.
We've eliminated our sense of smell now, so this is just the taste receptors in my mouth.
Okay. So I'm getting a little sweet.
Yeah, I just taste like sugar, like sugary gum.
Right. So now we're going to take our nose clips off.
Oh, this is banana. Oh my God, that's crazy.
Bingo, it's banana.
So without my sense of smell,
right,
I couldn't even sense what that was.
You're gonna get something without a sense of smell. You'll get a sweet, you'll get a salty, you'll get an umami, right? But you're not gonna have a meal, right? Because what you just saw was the meal is the beautiful flavors and the volatiles and your brain putting it together. You had the aha, it's banana.
So let's kind of shift gears now to what COVID is doing to our noses and to our brains.
Obviously, it's new for everybody, including scientists, but here's what we know now about what happens. The virus doesn't affect the nose cells directly, but there's cells that are in the nose that sort of support the nose cells. They give them nourishment. The virus gets into those nourishing cells and infects those cells, and we think that those cells then secrete an alarm signal, and that alarm causes the smell cells to stop making all of the things it needs to make to have a sense of smell. Basically, COVID throws a switch and turns the receptors off. So that's the anosmia. That's complete absence of smell. The receptors go off, you can't smell anything. Now, what happens, we think, with parosmia is as the receptors are coming back, they don't come back on uniformly and correctly. Some come back well, some are poorly, and the sense of smell is not quite right.
Is it just something that's happening in our nose, or is it the wiring of our brain also that's sort of changing?
So that's the other component of this. The nose cells has to talk to the brain, and we think that maybe in that rewiring process, so when the lights come back on and the rewiring to the brain starts, it's not quite right. It's rewiring the wrong smell receptor to the wrong part of the brain.
Yeah, that's what happens. That's where your smell senses are, up there at the top of your nose there. Found that very interesting. Now, over 27 million people worldwide have experienced COVID-related smell or taste loss. For many of these individuals, symptoms have persisted for over 6 months. It's went on for a while for a lot of people, you know?
So when something happens to this, it inevitably impacts this. And for folks who have parosmia, it can have serious consequences.
We've had patients ask us if there's a surgery we can do to just cut the nerve to their smell so they can at least not smell anything, because they were like, I'm suicidal.
There has been some times where I try to make dinner and I just break down crying.
I feel so alone. I feel like no one can understand me.
It's almost like a disability.
I don't know why this is happening. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how long it's going to last.
This is the rest of my life? This is awful.
Have you lost your sense of taste or smell? Some people say things smell like gasoline or rotted food or whatever. You know? What has it done for you? You can't enjoy your food when this is going on. You understand what I'm saying? You just flat out can't. It's sad, but, you know, how are you going to enjoy a good steak or a hamburger or anything of that nature? Foods that you love. especially if you're a foodie, you love to eat. Heard the lady say some things smell like rotten onions to her. But I just wanted to come in and give a breakdown of this because, again, in our community, I haven't been hearing people discuss it. Harassmia. Again, 27 million people worldwide have experienced this. And they say research suggests that a lot of patients will gain it back within 2 years. They're trying to find out how COVID impacts taste and smell. The loss of these senses are more prevalent with earlier variants of the COVID. Say fewer people were reporting these issues now that the Omicron is the more dominant strain that's out right now. Instead, it's speculated that the coronavirus disrupts one's olfactory sensory neurons located up here at the top of your nose you just saw in the video. Not in the brain. The virus reduces smell and taste acutely, blunting their ability to detect and differentiate ordinary familiar smells and tastes. It's something you don't want to have, you know? You never know how great your senses are till you lose one. Now, they say when you lose a sense, it enhances other senses. So if you were to go blind, then your hearing and smell would be enhanced. That's the way the story goes that I've heard. They say the changes to smell and taste associated with COVID-19 infection and long COVID include complete loss of smell and taste, decreased smell and taste, and changes to smell and taste. The smell of burning is one that a lot of patients have said that they have, that everything smells the same no matter what you're smelling. So there was one patient who said that any food that is warmed up tastes like chlorine. With me, it was just a thing of you might as well have just pulled the stuffing out of a pillow and just put it in your mouth. Everything tastes the same to me. I don't care if I was eating chicken, cereal, whatever. There was just no taste. Even if you put hot sauce on it, you're only coughing from the reaction of the hot sauce. It's not because you taste the hot sauce as hot sauce. And I was just wondering, did any of you guys experience it? Because again, in our community, no one's discussing it. And it seems to be a pretty big deal. Now, they say that the symptoms occur around 4 or 5 days after the infection, often before respiratory issues such as shortness of breath and coughing take hold. I find I have the shortness of breath when I'm waking up in the morning. I don't know if it's because I sleep with my fan. I keep that fan humping, baby. I'm one of those people, I sweat at night, so, need my fan. But finding your sense of smell or taste altered or gone entirely for an extended period have marked effects on wider well-being. They say a lot of people become depressed. I've lost quite a bit of weight. That's one good thing in my factor, because I had no appetite. If I couldn't taste it, 2-3 days later, Jackie O started making me eat something. I just had no desire. You lose your enjoyment of food. So I've lost weight. That's a good thing I'm happy about. Okay. Eating's part of how we interact as humans, food's involved in everything when it comes to gathering, people getting together, and that's across the spectrum of all races and ethnicities. Everyone celebrates with food. That pleasure's now been removed. You can't taste anything. And I just wanted to know, I was just interested to know, did anyone else have this problem? It is what it is. How long will it take before it comes back? Additionally, research has found that experiencing smell or taste loss significantly reduces quality of life, particularly with mental health. Check this guy out.
With an increasing number of patients, how are people coping with parosmia? And how are doctors helping those patients? We headed to New York to speak to a doctor and researcher working on one of the largest studies of COVID-induced parosmia to date, with hundreds of patients.
What are you hearing from them?
Well, we're finding that all have significant quality of life issues that are actually worse than patients with just regular loss of smell. You can see them just suffering. They're in tears half the time. They'd rather smell nothing than smell terrible, rancid meat all the time. We know through prior trials and prior evidence that any patients with a change in smell have increased rates of anxiety and depression.
So you actually have a nice recording here of all the different smells and how frequently you encounter them in the patients. So what smells are very common?
The most common is a chemical kind of type smell. Cigarette smells, gasoline smells are also pretty common.
Definitely heard the cigarette one.
Yeah.
Patients have significant weight loss, nausea, inability to eat. We have patients that are vomiting after they smell anything or certain triggers. There's a huge spectrum.
So you mentioned that kind of the psychological toll it's taking on people is a huge component of your research.
Yeah.
What are among the most common kind of negative statements you're getting from people?
The senses of isolation, how it affects their eating are some of the most common ones.
When looking at COVID, what worries us the most, I think, though, is these kind of long haul symptoms. Loss of sense of smell and taste, parosmia, depression, anxiety, hearing loss, chronic pain, headaches. We're about a year and a half into this experience. We don't have great prognostic evidence to tell them, this will go away in 1 month, 2 months, a year, if ever. We're still in this very early period of understanding how COVID affects the sense of smell. And it may not be in the nerve, it may be deeper in the brain. We don't know.
So is there a way to fully cure parosmia? As of yet, there isn't. A lot of people have fully regained their normal sense of smell after a period of time, but many, many others haven't.
I'm about almost a year with my parosmia.
I guess it'll make a year now.
Maybe this is what my life is going to be like forever, because it's almost a year and I haven't fully gotten it back.
Leading doctors throughout the country are trying a variety of techniques, from nasal steroids to fish oil supplements to smell training. In other words, smelling very strong scents on a daily basis to reawaken your smell receptors. Now, there is some research that shows some of these techniques can have a modest impact in recovering some patients' sense of smell. But the key words there are modest and some. None of them can fully fix parosmia, so to speak. And that's, I guess, one of the lasting imprints COVID has left on our planet. Long-haul symptoms that just aren't going away. Parosmia is just one of them.
Yeah, it affects you greatly. For example, one study of over 300 COVID patients with taste or smell loss saw 43% report feeling of depression. Another group reported anxiety. I don't know. How do we get it back? They say there are also some safety aspects to consider. Smell is one of the senses our body uses to look for danger. So if you're laying in bed and the house is burning, or you left food in the oven or whatever, can you smell it? What if there's some kind of poison in the area? This affects you greatly, not just with eating, but with your safety as well. Smell is one of the senses our body uses to look for danger. Again, such as smelling smoke from a fire. So a persistent change in smell can potentially be a safety concern as well. Now, here are two things I saw that will help you to get the COVID back, your sense of smell back after the COVID. Now, one lady says burnt oranges and brown sugar. You saw the test that they were using to find out if they could pinpoint things. But she said to slice some oranges, put them in a pan and burn them, put brown sugar on them and start eating that a couple of days.
Hi guys, so today I am doing a little bit different of a video. Most of you guys know I had been sick for a little while with COVID, and I ended up losing my taste as well as smell. Very, very frustrating side effect for sure. And I did have some comments of people who have tried the burnt orange method, but we're gonna do that right now. I'll let you guys see how it's done. So I cut up my orange and I just have it in a pan here, just halved up. I left the rinds on, and you're just going to cook them until it starts getting like a burnt look to them. So I'll show you what it looks like after I get these cooked up. So I'm letting the other side go to look like this, and then I will take them out of the pan. So here are my oranges after burning them up. Now I'm going to sprinkle them with some brown sugar. Now I never did get a definitive answer onto how much brown sugar to use, but I put on a decent amount on my orange here. So, looks tasty. So the one thing that I did here though is to make sure you eat the orange when it's warm. It should be warm. I mean, obviously you want it to cool down slightly so you don't burn your tongue, but to eat it warm with the brown sugar and the orange being blackened up there. Like I said, I don't know what happens as far as using this method. Now that I can taste it, it's pretty disgusting. It's not something to like make and eat for the joy of it. Basically, it's a pretty disgusting flavor. But first time I did this, I couldn't taste it at all. All right, guys. So that is pretty much everything you do. Try and eat all of it. Obviously not the rinds, but try to eat all of it and see within a day or two if your taste or smell or both have improved at all for you.
This other guy say you put your hand over your heart, put your finger here, and somebody thumps you in the back of the head. Then you put your hand here and touch your tongue, and someone thumps you in the back of the head. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to let him tell you.
I wasn't really hungry at all because I couldn't taste anything.
6 pounds lighter and missing the smell of her essential oils, Lauren lost her senses for days. Her Tempe chiropractor claimed he had a quick fix.
Skepticism is there, but at that point, it's like, well, nothing else is working, so why not?
Dr. Kevin Ross usually cracks backs, but after catching COVID and losing his senses, the chiropractor says he cracked the code to bring back taste and smell.
The first person I worked on was myself. Started trying to figure out because it was driving me nuts.
Dr. Ross studied allergies for years and says his trick is just a concept of what he's learned. Here's how it works.
What you have someone do is just put their hand up on their heart, so just hand on the heart. Your index finger is going to point right at the olfactory nerve, which is at the base of the brain, just above the sinuses. And once they're holding both of those, it's literally just a flick on the back of the head. The second part is they stick their tongue out and touch their finger to their tongue. Same thing again. Flick them on the back of the head.
It sounds a little crazy and way too easy, but Dr. Ross says it's just a neurological reboot. What you're doing is you're stimulating what's called the olfactory nerve. That's that white area right here. You might say strange. Dr. Ross says science. It might not work on everyone, but once a skeptic herself, Lauren is back smelling essential oils and eating her favorite foods.
I was like, wow, that's crazy that it actually worked.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront, bring that to the light. I myself, I don't know. The good thing is I dropped the weight. You know what I'm saying? But the bad thing is you can't taste anything. Therefore, you have no taste for anything. It's all just mush in your mouth. And I just didn't want to be the only one. I knew I wasn't the only one. And I just wanted to know, like, those of you out there who have the same problem, Harassmia, to know that you're not alone. Hit me up in the comment section and let me know how it's affected you. And on next week's show, I'll read it to you, your comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All of that helps. We have 17 subscribers. I've been off for 2 weeks. Because with the COVID, man, you don't feel like doing anything. You're just lethargic and laying around. But if you could, subscribe. Check out our website at www.pushgapradios.com. But yeah, please become a subscriber. We have 17 subscribers. We're trying to get up to 25. Slow and easy. But yeah, let somebody thump you in the back of your coconut mind. See if that helps you to get it back. Never average, never mediocre. Online, on point, and on the money. Go Bears, baby. In all that you do, go Bears. Okay? Shaka 401 in the main event on pushgapradios.com, trying to see, am I the only one with Harassmia? That's the clinical name for it, Harassmia. So you can go look it up as well. But thank you for tuning in. And when people tell you they can't smell anything, they ain't playing, fam. Pushgapradios.com. Dallas, baby.
Never average, never mediocre. We're online, on point, and on the money. Shaka Ford won in the main event only on pushgapradios.com.
Pushgapradios.com. It's Dallas, baby.
Pray until something happens. God always provides. At pushgapradios.com, the power is in the name.
Pushgapradios.com. We finna take over this town like street sweepers.
That's gangsta diddle.
Pushgapradios.com. Bridging the gap between old school and new school radio. Pushgapradios.com. It's Dallas, baby.